On schedule. Wren Murray from Revival Hyperbarics. Welcome, brother. How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. It's yeah, all day, every day, busy endeavor over here at Security Halt. But I am excited to have you on today, man. Not that any other guest isn't exciting, but it's great to have another Green Beret that's out here changing the lives of our soft brothers and sisters. Because, dude, it's nothing short of amazing being able to see somebody from the community achieving great success and something that also supports us. So today, my man, we're gonna dive into your story, all of it, from beginning to end, dude.
Awesome. Awesome. Look forward to it. Appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, man. So before we start with the story of Revival Hyperbarics, let's take us back to the beginnings of your military history, where it all started.
Oh yeah. So got in 2009. I was a Intel guy. I was doing human, Chinese
Nice.
ling Chinese linguist. Uh, got attached to the third group. Decided I wanted to go switch over. Uh, Became a Charlie and JTAC instructor.
Damn.
Um, Did another rotation there. And kind of got injured during that last deployment, which is kind of what led me to
Yeah,
kind of doing this and helping people out.
dude. And if what happened and what was kind of like that awakening moment of like, I need something else, because a lot of people have this misconception that when we get hurt, it's like we have great resources, we do, but it's not as informed as people often think. They think that it's like, oh man, we're gonna send you to every resource available.
Yeah, it seems like there's some good resources out there, and it seems like hyperbarics has been kind of this hidden thing that a lot of these nonprofits have been doing for years and years and years. But so trying to integrate that into the community and making it awareness is difficult, but I think we're making progress. Talks to a lot of group commanders, group sergeant majors, kind of letting them know that this resource is available. We can take care of active duty guys. We can take care of retired guys. So it was, with me going through it and realizing the benefit, it was kind of like there's got to be more people like me, that need this in their life, because everything gets affected with the TBI. Everything
Yeah.
gets affected with PTSD. It's like your performance, your families, kind of your daily life, your friends, and so that's when I realized like I kind of felt guilty for feeling so good after I went through, and then decided, I needed to give a good foot forward and try to do this and knock it out. So
Yeah, I have to imagine though, like going through getting injured, finally getting the treatment that works, and having that moment of like, oh shit, like this is changing the way like I'm living my life. Like, how did you go from being a patient, being an advocate, and then saying, you know what, I'm going to start my own business?
yeah, yeah. So towards the end of treatment, like the aha moment for me was I was driving up Galena Pass in Sun Valley. Phil Rainey with their Sun Valley Hyperbarics has a vet program. So Mission 43 with Albert's Foundation, Green Beret Foundation paid for me to go up there to do it. So towards the end of my treatments, I was driving up Galena Pass, 'cause I did every morning because it's just beautiful up there in the Sawtooth. And then was watching the sunrise, and I just started bawling. And I was
Hmm.
like, holy shit, like I'm back. Like felt it's kind of like I've been a shell of a person, and it felt like someone grabbed my hair and like lifted my head up out of water after I've been suffocating, like living in a world of gray.
Yeah.
And then so kind of going forward, like feeling so good, and man, everything changed. So it was everything was going smooth with doing some contract work. But then I just felt like, man, there's got to be more people, and that's kind of the. It was probably a couple months, 6 months after I got treatment, where I was just before I go to bed every day, I'm like, I need to do this. I need to do this, and finally just took that leap to go for it.
Yeah. Dude, I can't believe you went into contracting after.
Oh, it's a trap. It's a trap.
Dude, it seems to be a pitfall that so many of our guys go into. I mean, it's utilizing the skill sets that we have. It's utilizing our background. And even if we're coming off of injuries, it's easy money. It's almost like the default thing. Is that
Yeah,
how you felt going into it?
yeah. It was a good gig. So being like an Intel guy prior, kind of worked some programs where I did a lot of like digital forensics.
Mm,
So I kind of, kind of take down some labs that shouldn't have been doing what they're doing and kind of helping out there. And so
yeah.
it was all stateside, but it's an easy button to Like, let's just go contract and get by.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a, yeah, it's an easy button to take care of what needs to happen now. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
what is a trap?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is it?
it can, and you know, the money's good. The one thing we're always looking for is that financial security. And I have to imagine like making that pivot into the entrepreneurial space. Like, how did that planning go? Where you're like, okay, I'm gonna do a few more months here as a contractor, or was it just like rip the band-aid off and like leap?
Well, actually, so I was doing some executive consulting for like a blockchain company here in Utah.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a all-purpose person
Yeah.
for those guys, and super good crew of dudes over there. They took care of me really well, and it was kind of it was nice having that around while doing this to have a little bit
Yeah.
of security
Yeah.
while you're just putting everything into this. So, but
Yeah.
that's yeah, it's all hands on deck trying to seems like to open up your own business. Especially dealing with regulations and rules and inspections and
Dude, I can't even imagine like what was like I, we now have so many different areas and streams of information where we can get informed and all this care, but it's surface level, right? It's not giving you the nitty, like gritty breakdown as how to like go about utilizing something like HBOT, how to like get the insurance. Like, how did you start this process of like, okay, I gotta get spun up on this. I gotta make sure I am not liable for somebody getting injured.
oh yeah. Well, I think you should have to weaponize your autism and
Yes.
and just lock yourself in the basement, get out all the law books you need, all the NFPAs, and just start grinding at it.
Yeah.
Grinding at all the sections. Between we have a 1,500-gallon liquid cryo tank outside of liquid oxygen. It's like those rules are different than like compressed to gas to, and it seems like it's one of those things. Nobody cares as much as you do. So
Yeah.
like, no one's gonna go do the work for you. And so it was the only option was to try to figure it out and make sure we're good.
Yeah.
Kind
Dude,
of go
that's,
through them.
I
The
can
space
only
was
imagine.
yeah. The space I mean, it was a good experience for sure. I
Yeah.
definitely learned a ton. So if I ever need like duplicate this effort, it'll be so much easier. Kind of knowing how it works, what they're looking for, things to do, not to do.
Yeah.
I feel like the next time will be way more efficient.
How long did it take to get it off the ground to where you had like the ability to finally start like having people come in?
Um, Between the SBA finding a lease and construction, probably I would say around a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah, probably a
That's
year and
pretty
a half.
that's pretty fast. That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, we're trying. I was trying to do everything as fast as possible. So it
Fuck
was
yeah.
because the SBA. I feel like if you just wait till another day, like
Yeah.
that will just keep happening forever. There's never like a good time to be stressed and busy and work hard. It's like there's no magic time. Just like
Yeah.
it's like when's
Oh
the
yeah.
best time to do anything? Well, now's the time probably. It's like
Yeah.
best time to have a baby. It's never gonna be perfect. It's never gonna, you know, it's gonna
Yeah.
suck one way or another. So I'll just rip the band-aid off and just go for it.
Yeah. And it's I have to imagine it's one thing for us to like and from every time I've talked to somebody that has this great idea, this great endeavor, it's like that itching or that gnawing in the back of the head, and we're just like really quick to dive into something, but we don't highlight the other half of the equation when it comes to like making this stuff happen. That's oftentimes our spouse. What was it like bringing that up to your wife and being like, hey, like I really want to do this?
Yeah, well, so she knew I really wanted to do it, and I was already in the process of going for it. And so, but so we're on our honeymoon, and we're on our way back, and we're in Dallas, and her sister gets in a car wreck,
Oh shit.
and so she developed a stutter, and the stutter sounded exactly like my team leader. So after the blast, like he would just stutter his way through a conversation. Started happening like 5 days after, and just went downhill.
Yeah.
Spent a year in Walter Reed. So it never went away for him. And then he's the one who actually called me speaking full sentences and told me, "Hey, Wren, you need to do this. Like, I got it lined out. There's the sources." So
Hmm.
with Jenny, you know, we got delayed in Houston. Delayed in Houston a day, and then the stutter happened. And I'm like, we're going to Arizona. That's why we got delayed. There's something happening. So, Dr. Borsan down in Arizona, they definitely helped us out. And people want to go to the Mayo Clinic. They want to go do speech therapy. They want to go
Yeah.
do. This is what they're going to tell you when you get a brain injury. And I had to go show up like a crazy person, like talking about this random technology or this random thing. I'm like, no, 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 we're not going anywhere like that. All they're going to do at the end of the road is tell you you have a brain injury and throw prescriptions at you.
Yeah.
Like, let's go do this. So after dive number 7, like, your stutter gone.
Wow.
And so with Jenny, that got a lot of the buy-in. So it drove her to try to help me more. So it all kind of, terrible that it happened, but kind of like worked out to really give Jenny the understanding. She's super supportive. She's awesome.
Yeah.
But it really gave her the understanding of what this means to me and like how it works and how it helps, because it was so personal to her. Her sister's like her best friend.
Yeah.
And so getting her back, she has 3 kids. And so that was a awesome experience. Again, not good to have a car wreck, but good experience to go through with her family, kind of see what this is about, and seeing what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah.
Kind of like letting them know the perspective of what could have happened. If someone's not getting treated, it changes your personality completely.
Yeah. And it's crazy that, and you hit on it right. When you go to the treatment centers, the first thing for speech related issues is speech pathologists to go through exercises, and it's sometimes treated like a check the box situation. Oh, you have a TBI. We're going to make sure you go through speech pathology. We're going to do soft palate issues and work through all that. And it's like, dude, I don't have issues swallowing. I don't have issues with, like the forming of the speech. It's deeper than that. And I think HBOT still doesn't get a lot of recognition in certain programs. It's almost treated like, well, we're still trying to understand it. I'm like, look, like there's lots of people are walking around from our soft community that are now functioning and back to a normal life because of this. And I think it's important to have this conversation, being able to discuss it. It's not just a myth. It's not just, this woo woo stuff that's going on. Like real change occurs. Like we're now just starting to talk about neural inflammation as the issue, the culprit behind it. And I mean, just recently we had the 60-minute report on blast exposure and what's happening to our guys. We have this idea that it's only in combat, when we completely ignore the exposure and training. And like, this is something that we could have at SWIC. We could literally have this at SWIC to treat our guys.
Yeah, and it would be incredible resources. So I'm working with some local SWAT teams, trying to get in with them to their demo teams. Be like,
Yes.
hey, here's something. Even if you're whatever you're doing, clearing rooms and hit your head on a concrete, like whatever it is. If you treat it ahead of time, like the amount of treatments you need is significantly less
Yeah.
than waiting years. And you could, to prevent the injury, prevent the fallout of your family, prevent the anger, prevent not even to deal with all those issues. It's like,
Yeah.
so, and that's the goal. If I can I'm trying to work. I've talked to group commanders to I got an email up to the first event commander, asking how does TBI how does HBOT help with TBI? So there's kind of seeing the interest, and it's trying to just force my way into whoever will
Yeah.
listen to me. I'll just
Absolutely.
babble on the benefits and how this works, and like it just became
Yeah.
a huge passion.
Well,
There's
let's dive into that. How somebody walks into the front doors of Revival Hyperbarics, what is the protocol? How do you assess and how do you treat that patient?
so it varies. It varies depending on what we're treating. So Lyme disease would be a completely different protocol than a TBI, which would be completely different than like long COVID.
Mm,
So it's all very tailored to like what we're treating,
yeah.
how many dives do they need? Because it's kind of more or less. I'd rather people save money and get what they want than just throw big numbers
Yeah.
at them and hold them accountable.
Yeah.
It's because really getting the results are the most important thing to me, than rather than making this a subscription based,
Yeah.
what type of thing.
Dude, you're blowing my mind. I had no idea that this could be used for things like Lyme disease. Like we're gonna let's segue into that. And we'll come back to the blast exposure. How did we find out that this is something that could help people suffering from Lyme disease, which is like it's one of those rare um, diseases that affects humans in vastly different ways, and it's like borderline crippling for the rest of your life. Like it is fucking insane what's happened to some of the people that I've known that have become afflicted by it, from changes like radical changes in anything they can eat, joint issues, pain. Like it's insane what Lyme disease does.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely wreaks havoc. So if someone comes in saying I have like fibromyalgia, joint pain, like arthritis, my first question would be like, have you been tested for Lyme?
Hmm.
Like just to see if that's what we're treating, because the protocols are completely different with Lyme really than anything else. Because instead of kind of gradually building up to pressure, making sure everybody's good, you just need to hit it hard. Because what you're doing
Oh no
is
shit.
with every atmosphere you go down, you're reducing kind of like the molecule and how close they're allowed to be together in half.
Hmm.
And so, now your 12-car highway, your 2-car highway is a 12-car highway. Then your fibers are shrinking. And you're able to get a lot of oxygen around, kind of penetrating everywhere. And the deeper you go, the more dense tissue you can penetrate.
Hmm.
And so with Lyme disease, it's a shapeshifter. It's kind of a little shapeshifter, and then almost as similar like dog syphilis. But it like when you go down to 3 atmospheres, you're getting a ton of oxygen, but you want to kill as many as you can as fast as you can before, and then eventually they'll get wise to it and encapsulate themselves in protein and go dormant.
Oh
So,
shit.
so it's trying to figure out like how many dives do you need to not ever have it ever come back and stay dormant. So still kind of trial and error that one. Like we'll hit it hard and get them done, but trying to figure out like, hey, once every other week, once a month, what's the minimum amount we can do to keep this Lyme disease from bothering you?
Damn. You're blowing
So
my mind, dude. That is insane.
it's it's wild. Not to try to make this sound like the magic bullet, but it's super awesome. Like all the different things it can treat. Treating a
Yeah.
5-year-old with kidney failure. Doctor says she's going to get a kidney transplant, and she calls me, and we treat her, and I don't know, she's at home now. She doesn't have a
Wow.
new kidney. To even cancers. They used to think that hyperbarics was just going to increase the tumor, but really tumors are inherently hypoxic. So you need to get your white blood cells, T cells in there, and this is what can help you do that.
Hmm. It's insane that we don't have more people writing and doing studies on this. Like, there's a lot of people that in the peer reviewed community, which is not everything. Like, so one thing that really pissed me off. We harp about peer reviewed studies and research, but within that research pool, within those protected and almost like sacred cow communities, some of those researchers and the studies they're conducting are full of shit because they're paid for by certain industries and by certain individuals. So like you have to be you have to scrutinize even further down. But I feel like we don't have enough people that are not looking at this through a lens of like, hey, let's just not be biased. Let's just look at this medicine, look at what it's doing, be objective, and be able to produce like a research that can actually like say like, hey, we measured this, we have data that shows that there's truth and there's efficacy in this treatment. I'm just blown away. Have you had anybody from local college or local community that's come in and been wanting to be like able to say like, hey, let's partner up for a research study?
It's if well, the crazy thing is if you start digging, then there's a ton of research that never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if like I have a white paper on different studies done for cancer, like goes over all the studies that have been done for different uh, antifungals to nutrition to diet to keto to
Yeah.
HBOT, and they're all cited studies. And so they're out there. It just seems like nobody really wants to listen. And it seems
Yes.
like it's as much as I don't want to believe it, it just seems like if you could keep somebody on a monthly subscription, keep coming back, that's what they're looking for. Whereas here,
Yeah.
we're providing a solution. Like I haven't treated any veterans that haven't quit all their prescriptions, and they're usually all done by 10th dive.
Damn.
And because like it also helps, you're not going to withdraw because you're really detoxing so hard and resetting yourself in here. It's a perfect time to pull off of all that stuff if that's
Yeah.
what someone's willing to do.
Yeah. That's something that I think all of us are starting to push back against, the hyper in rapid diagnosis, and then you're constantly just fed with pills, just prescription, just everything through the VA is nothing but a damn prescription based model where it's like, fuck, dude, like we're now starting to see like a little bit of like their holistic approach to it, like, hey, like offering some yoga and some meditation stuff, but it's still like very small and it's not done at every VA. And it's just constantly like every veteran has that same story of receiving their monthly box or boxes, or going to the VA and picking up their bags of fucking pills. And it's like, fuck, dude, like nobody stops to think. And I saw it too. You'll be prescribed multiple medications and they all have, like, to a varying degree, they have results that are negated by the other pills that you're taking, or some of them have side effects that are now, conflicting with the other pills you're taking. So it's like, fuck, it doesn't make sense. Like, if I'm going in, and if a veteran goes in, he's like, hey, I'm suicidal. It's like, okay, we'll give you this. But then some of the side effects are like, warning, may increase suicidal ideation. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Then you get to call the suicide hotline and they'll call you back a couple weeks later,
Yeah. Yeah. Being put on hold through, what's the name of the one source, the military one source, when they put you on hold. It's like, that's the most ridiculous situation any veteran, when you absolutely need somebody and you get through somebody and they put you on hold. It's like, fuck, dude, like this is insane. Like we have a crisis, and here we have something that can help. And to take it back to the TBI, with those protocols, like what is the success rate and what are you seeing when guys are coming in, and how long does it take for them to have that shift in what they're presenting as issues?
So it kind of depends on how far away and how severe the injury is,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't treated anybody with TBI that hasn't been happy with the results. So but it seems like the people that are willing to devote the time,
Yeah.
are in a place to want to get better. They're going to do the right things. They're going to work out and eat and try to be healthy and devote their time. It seems like,
Yeah.
because no one's really willing to change unless the pain of your present is unbearable.
Mm.
And you've got to find that breaking point to where, you're willing to sacrifice your time. So we've a bunch of vets that we've treated, really, well, all the vets we treated really needed the help, and
Yeah.
they're wanting that change. So like, we were in that mass count 17, and I've slowly almost got every single person on my team through.
No shit.
Yeah. So
Dude.
it's a better ending to the story to me, than ending in a mass cal and, everybody's off
Yeah.
doing whatever, just, and then we all had kind of similar symptoms. It's the emotion regulation, the dizziness, the sleep issues, the testosterone issues, cortisol issues, to empathy. Like emotions is the big one.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the vets, let's say most people we treat, you start really seeing a curve right around 20 to 25 dives, I would say. Because right at 20 dives consecutively, your stem cells go to roughly 800%. So
What?
so the Israelis are light years ahead of some of the stuff. Like they have, Dr. Afradi published the hypoxic
Mm-hmm.
paradox. It kind of talks about this stuff. He even goes to talking about doing 60 consecutive dives, even lengthens the telomeres on your DNA. So
No
essentially,
shit.
that's a marker that you look to determine like how your DNA is aging.
Yes. So that is insane. I want to pause on that. Telomeres. That's like when you replicate. That's the shoestring strands that kind of allows your cells to have a little bit of waste. So when you duplicate, when you recreate, like those telomeres are vital, because the longer they are, the more, as you replicate, like you're not losing that vital data. When they're super short, you're going to lose a lot of that. That's where we get the aging. It's that little bit of that replication process where it gives you a buffer to have healthy, good continuation cells, which is something that they're now seeing within our demographic of guys, our soft community, that's completely fucked.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
saying we haven't made unhealthy choices and exposed ourselves to things we shouldn't have? No.
Telomeres are just like that long. It's like that data that we hate to call it. It's it's a buffer. Best way I can explain it in my layman, 18 Bravo, 18, what if somebody called it recently, 180 Bravo knowledge is like that extra bit of data that it's afforded you in your cells to like be able to be cut off as it replicates and grows. And as you get older, those telomeres get shorter and shorter. But being able to actually create and lengthen them, like that is insane. That is insane. That is like that keeps you looking and feeling better for longer. Not that we're trying to be like that weird guy that wants to live forever. I forget his name. He's been on the news lately. Is it Brian Johnson?
Yeah. The guy that I think he takes his kid's blood.
Yeah, I
Or
think
something.
he has a blood boy.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny's the joke's on us. He just lives forever. Yeah. We think he's nuttier than squirrel turds, but no, he jokes on us.
Dude, I guarantee he does hyperbaric. I guarantee he does. Guaranteed he does.
It's getting really big in the biohacking community. So it's kind of randomly, because traditionally hyperbarics they're in every hospital. Like these Perrys are super popular in most hospitals, but they do wound care. So the only thing they'll actually cover is like diabetic lesions, radionecrosis, crushed wounds, necrotizing wounds, that all sorts of diabetes things. But for brain health, they don't want to touch it. So hopefully eventually we'll get there, because it seems to me like so the argument to them would be, so first I'll explain kind of the mechanism. So when you go down to depth, say you're at 1200% oxygen saturation, and when you come back up, your body will think it's suffocating. So start producing your vascular and growth factor, all these growth factors, because it's called the HIF1 response. So a hypoxic induced factor. So, and with that factor, you can actually regrow capillaries. You can get blood flow back to parts of your brain, a limb, so you can create new capillaries and find those. It'll identify the hypoxic area and make capillaries to bypass those places, to get activity and blood flow back there. So if you do a nuclear spec scan on someone's brain after 40 dives, you can see the shift of blood flow, and it's permanent because you created new pathways. So your neural endocrine growth factor, so you're kind of rerouting your neural network, getting rid of that neural inflammation, like, because your body keeps the score. And it's crazy. The way I think about PTSD now is completely separate than I used to.
Yes.
But I forgot, I was going on a tangent about explaining the science, but right before that, I can't even remember. Anyway,
you're good. Hey, it's a TBI. This show is brought to you by TBI. We segue in and we segue out.
But the old wet brain.
Yeah, but to go back to that earlier conversation we were having, it's remarkable to see individuals within the scientific community pick and choose where they apply this. And we do have some advocates. We do have some amazing advocates that are coming out and standing by and championing this. But we need more individuals within our veteran community to take the bold step forward and try it out for themselves. Because when you create, not only when you heal somebody, but you create somebody that's willing to advocate for it. And we, in our space, in our community, if something doesn't fucking work, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna share it, and we're gonna say, don't fucking do this. Whatever you do, don't fucking do it. But it works in the opposite way too. If something works for us, we're gonna advocate for it. And we're seeing that with psilocybin. We're seeing that with all sorts of plant medicine and psychedelics everywhere. Guys are willing to try it, and then they're coming out of the woodwork and championing it. And yeah, podcast helps, blog, op-eds, all that stuff's important, because if we don't have the advocacy at the university community, at the doctor level, the advocacy at the grassroots and the veteran space, is going to be just as powerful. That's why it's so important to have, discussions like this to show people that, like, hey, you can find this within your local area, or if not in your local area, you can travel to one of these places, because the nonprofit network is also very powerful. You have nonprofits are willing to help you get there, to get the treatment that you deserve. So it's no longer a cost of, it's not a barrier to entry. Like, you can find ways to get access to care. And that's a beautiful thing, because again, guys and gals are seeking it, and they're seeing a change. When I was first going through my journey, I didn't hear shit about HBOT. I didn't see anybody. Now, just about every good nonprofit that's out there helping has a way to pay for it and get people connected to it. So I think that's also something that we have to celebrate and be able to say, like, hey, we might not have backing from fucking everybody, but the guys and gals that are healing, they're speaking up and they're sharing it. And it's remarkable, dude. People are sharing their stories of, I think it's sad to see how long people have suffered, and being able to see the journey of certain individuals where they're like, hey, I wasn't able to function. I wasn't able to go outside. I wasn't able to be part of my own freaking family. But look at me now. Like, got my life back together. I got my family together. And I'm able to be a functioning member of society. Like, all from being able to go into a chamber and have a set number of dives and be able to get their life back, dude. That's huge.
Yeah, it's super impactful. I mean, when I went through, so I'd already tried, I went to every therapy program the VA had. I think
Yeah.
like 6-10 week programs. Maybe because I didn't like who I was. I knew who I was before, and then the VA community, healthcare community, they'll say PTSD and TBI are synonymous. It's the exact. The symptoms are the same, so we can never differentiate.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well,
bullshit.
right. And yeah. And so for me at the time, it's like, well, I'll do whatever they have to offer. Maybe it is in my head. Maybe it's a me thing. And then so, but going through that, nothing. Even, doing psychedelics, it was kind of a temporary relief.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would almost fade as quickly as it came. It's like, oh, I get it. I don't get it. Damn
Mm-hmm.
it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that, like, you can almost taste enlightenment, but you can't keep it. But it's so with hyperbarics, I never heard of it till my team leader hit me up to do it, and super grateful that he did. Super grateful, and he's kind of helping spearhead Mission 43, and now they have big multi places up there because of how it affected him, affected me. But so it's yeah, it's wild. That's just not more known, and so not more known about or not more known. So for me, after hyperbarics, I got all those things back. It was like the empathy's back, the emotions back. But for me, it was like, a moment. It was like just snapping into like consciousness is what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like, because you just feel like a shell. And then so to me, it seems like hyperbarics is your foundation you need to start. So it's if you've got these injuries, like, and you want to build a tower, you need to start your foundation. Or you want to build a car, it needs to run. Don't tune it if the cylinder's blown. Like get the basic motor running, and then I think some of these other modalities can really tune it in. You can really benefit from those lessons.
And when you went through HBOT and you finally had that moment of like clarity of like, oh shit, this is changing my life, what were some of the other things that you leaned on to help you get back to like that 100%? Because I think like one thing that I always share and talk about a lot, it's not just one tool. It's always having the best and biggest kit bag with every resource that works for you.
Yeah, man. With hyperbarics, it did a lot of the heavy lifting because I went to speech pathology, learned all those lessons, then to like cognitive therapy. Because you're like, put your keys in this spot every time, put your thing here every time. Here, take a notebook, and and then all of a sudden after HBOT, I was not needing a notebook, and then I was remembering where I put stuff. Like my memory was, I don't know what. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to tell what 100% is, but in my mind, it's as close as I can remember to being 100%. So but like I've tried all sorts of things from sound bowl therapy to doing meditation to psychedelics to really anything I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
It's just putting a good foot forward to try to make sure it works. But I think, with hyperbarics, it's hard too, because I went to all the therapies before,
Mm,
and I think I probably learned all these tools. But with, like, when you don't have emotions, they're just tools. It's almost like you
yeah.
borrowed tools. Like I could teach somebody what all these mean, but like without emotion, you're kind of stuck with just being tools you can't use.
Yeah.
And so I think when went through it, finally clicked. But it's hard to, I mean, even having empathy. Like a lot of people will come in here, like I had a command staff come in here, and I was like, "You guys been any blast injuries, TBI?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Do you guys sleep well?" They're like, "Oh." I'm like, "Do you guys have empathy?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Organic empathy, or do you know what you should do?" You know, we can all fucking figure out how to think we should feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, show like what would Wren do in this scenario? Like, what would be compassionate? Like, you shouldn't
Yeah.
have to do this mechanical process, or like, you go into a room and it's stressful because you have to be thinking, how should Wren be acting, and what should Wren do versus just feeling a room. And so, like, there's a lot of those people that, like, woo woo, like, I'm not
Yeah.
injured, I'll never be injured. It's like, what would your wife say? Would she say that, or is that just you? You know what I mean? So I think there's important to spouses speaking up. There's important to battle buddies speaking up, seeing your friends, and really, like, when I went through, so I did 40 and then I did another session of 40. But one of my buddies was kind of pushing me. He's like, "Dude, you're being a fuck up." You know, he's like, "You're acting like an asshole." In my mind, I'm just trying to get by.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like I'm doing that. So it was frustrating to go through all these therapies and all these modalities. And still it's like, oh man, I'm still a letdown. And then you kind of start getting in your own head a little bit, because, like, for a long time, it's like, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna get better. When you stop running out of things to try, you're like, oh no, this might be my new normal.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I don't like this new normal. This new normal can't go outside without a migraine, look at a screen without a migraine, has vertigo issues, it's like sleep issues, it's like all sorts of things. And then you're like, so what is quality of life? Like, what does that mean to anyone? If you're here. And so it's a good thing to identify. I feel like if anybody can identify someone losing purpose, that's a dangerous spot to be in. And you're like, feeling like you're a burden and losing purpose, like, that's when dudes need to be aware and reach out, or not be afraid to ask for help. There's all this stigma about big, rough, tough, whatever. It's like, dude, admitting you have problems, like, I think, a more masculine thing than hiding it. Like, stepping up to take care of yourself. It's like embarrassing. It feels like you're showing your pee-pee in public. You know,
Absolutely, dude.
nobody wants to do it, but it's
Yeah.
important.
Dude, it's the greatest strength that we can, and especially if you're listening and you're a father, if you're a father figure, and you have to break the cycle of what it means to be a true, like, strong masculine man, like, ask for help. Be willing to say, like, okay, I'm not at 100%. I want to be at 100%. Like, the days of just gritting and taking everything to your deathbed, like, that's horrible, man. Like, you have to be a present, functioning member of your family, to lead your family, to be strong for your family. And you're only going to get there by freaking rallying, getting the family together, telling your spouse, like, hey, I got to go get help. I'm going to go to friggin' Revival Hyperbarics. I'm going to do some chamber dives. I'm going to get back to being the strong fucking leader that this family deserves. Like, I owe that to you. Like, that's strength. Like, I'm not okay, but I know I can get better. You don't have to have a breakdown in public. If it happens, get it. I've been there myself. That's not what you want to have. You want to have the moment of clarity with your family. Be honest, be open to the people you trust, your best friends, the people in your team room. Trust me. They love you. They want you to get better. There's nothing wrong with taking a knee. Fuck, if you got shot on a mission, you wouldn't just be fucking walking around. No, you'd be like, hey, I need an 18 Delta. I need somebody to fucking take a look at this. I got a sucking chest wound. You'd advocate for yourself. So do it now.
Oh yeah. And I've told veterans, call me on a group call with your wife. Like, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what it's all about. I'll tell her what it's all about. And then she can have a more informed decision, and she can get, the support, because you need the support when you're going through. you know,
Yep.
doing anything. Like if your spouse is not supporting you through what you're doing, then you're going to be negative and going to be stressed and going to be, but if someone come here and like chill out and like be happy they're doing it instead of being like,
Yeah.
so I'm spending time away from the kids, spending time. But to me, it's like, how can you give to others when you can't have the capacity to being okay yourself? Like you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else. So, my argument to them is, a month of your time for the rest of your life being better. It's like you're going
Hmm.
to be able to be present. You're going to be not frustrated. You're not going to you're not going to get flustered when you hear just a sound of a baby crying. It's like the patience. It seems like with TBI and stuff, the thing they leave you with is like nothingness, nothing, and anger. It's a free one. You can
Yep.
have all this you want. You know what I
Have as
mean?
much anger as you want. That's your only
Yeah.
emotion.
Let me take some joy. Let me take some of this, but we'll give you all the anger and all the nothingness. And I'm gonna take your memory too.
Yeah.
But yeah. TBI is a greedy little piglet,
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's awesome to see, and there's some really like good spouses that have really helped
Yeah.
their partners be here.
Yeah. You got to remember your home team. You got to remember, and they're the ones that know and understand the change. And we tend to think that, well, I know who I am. I know I'm changing. No, you're not that hyper aware. If you were, you know that everybody around you is walking on eggshells. And that's why I always say, like, that's the canary in the coal mine. You ever hear your wife say that in a counseling session, in a therapy session? Take it to heart. Be humble enough to hear that phrase and say, okay, I need to change. I need help. Give yourself some grace. You weren't born a complete asshole. Things have changed. Things are going on that you can't comprehend. But if they say things like, "Hey, I think you need help," be willing to take a knee, take that criticism, and understand it's come from a place of love. If they didn't love you, they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be sitting there with you in the fight. Um, you deserve to get better. All you listening, if you're struggling, please understand that there are resources out there. There are people like Wren who are operating amazing facilities for your help to get you better, to get you back in the fight. And if you're still in, you're not going to be out of the fight. It's going to take a little bit of time for you to get back to 100%, but you can still continue being that team sergeant, that 18 Charlie, that friggin' awesome breacher, that amazing teammate. You can still do all those things. You just need help because remember, it's not just combat exposure. It's also stuff that's happening in training. The 18 Charlie instructor that eats a million wall breaches trying to teach the next generation of great Green Berets, yeah, you need to be wary of this stuff. You need to be informed. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you don't have to wait till it all falls apart. You can get help today. Ren, if people want to check you guys out and get some treatment from you, where do they go?
Yeah. One thing I'll say before that is don't save for the next team.
Yes.
I'll extend my hours. I'll do whatever. If we're busy enough, I'll get another machine. Everybody always is like, nah, there's always a guy worse. There's always somebody worse. I don't deserve that. I don't deserve that. I'm like, bullshit. There's a handful of people that'll actually take the time to do this, and we'll
Yeah.
make space and time for anybody, who wants to do this. Because if they're committed, I'm committed.
Yeah.
Then you want to come on Sundays too? Like I'll do it. If you're that committed, I'm down. Like that's motivating to me to like
That's
see somebody
awesome.
try to grab it hard and go for it. But so if someone want to come do some treatments, we have Instagram, we have our Revival Hyperbaric site. What I would then do, get in contact with me. We work with two nonprofits right now. It's America's Mighty Warriors. Shout out to them. They've been super awesome at paying for people's dives. Debbie Lee's the founder or owner. She was the mother of the first SEAL that died in Iraq, and she
Oh,
kind of
wow.
took that and then opened up this organization. So they'll pay for all their dives. They get their blood work done, help with test therapy, vitamins, all sorts of stuff like that. And they're super cool guys. Cowie, who I deal with a lot of time over there, is super rad guy. He went through it himself. So you have a lot of people who really understand it and really are passionate about it. And they're, really awesome to work with. And the other nonprofit locally to Utah, uh, Silent Wounds Warriors, and that was the first vet I treated here.
Oh, wow.
So it was, he got done and just wanted to help, so he's a super good dude, like no interest in making money at this. He just, it worked out so well for him. He got blown up in Syria. And so one of my buddies knew him, and he's like, "Hey man, Ren, can you reach out to this guy?" And he was, what was he? Artillery? Something like that.
Yeah.
But he's a pisser. But so I reached out to him, and he had the same thing of, oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, bullshit, dude. I'm like, you don't need to be an 18 series to not have a
Yep.
TBI. Like, everybody's human.
Yep.
So like, it doesn't matter who you are, what your job is. Like, a brain injury is a brain injury. So he's like, finally got him in and realized how bad he was kind of coming out of it. Like the type of thing where you're contemplating your own life, taking your own life.
Yep.
You feel like you're that burden.
Yep.
You feel like you're not the man you want to be, and you're like, you don't enjoy life anymore. You're angry, and then kind of like seeing the other side. He started to open up that nonprofit, and dude's crushing it. So
Hell yeah.
super good.
Dude, it blows my mind, and it breaks my heart too to hear that other veterans that aren't part of the soft community, whether you support or 18 series, like it's not just exclusive to this community. In fact, one of the studies that first gave us an understanding, which the military then ignored, didn't publish, or didn't acknowledge for a long time, one of the first studies that showed us how vulnerable our brains were to blast exposure was conducted on a National Guard field artillery unit. And that unit had no direct combat. That's behind the lines. But they were sending fire missions day in and day out. And when they rotated back stateside, they were experiencing more suicides and more issues with not being able to adapt and dealing with PTSD than units that had direct combat experience. And that's when we first understood that it's not PTSD. It's blast wave exposure. So don't think that because you weren't a soft guy, you weren't a Green Beret, you weren't a Ranger, you weren't a SEAL, that your injuries don't matter, that you need to minimize your experience. Fuck that. You deserve to get treatment. You deserve quality of life. And there are people out there and people championing your cause and trying to get you help. Know that. Please know that. If you're listening to anybody that says otherwise, they're fucking idiots. Don't listen to them. Your service matters. Your injuries are important to get addressed, and you should 100% be reaching out and getting the resources you deserve, because fuck, man, like 20 years at war, a lot of us were exposed to some horrible shit, and you got to prioritize yourself. It's the only way we're going to be able to make this country better is if we take care of our veterans and get them in positions of power and get them involved in the local community to like be able to give back. Because I absolutely believe that we are better served within our communities when we have veterans leading the way, whether you're working at your local community as a teacher or working within civil government, like whatever you do, like be able to give back, because I do believe that veterans are some of the best leaders our country has. And we need you guys sticking around. You making a change, because man, been able to see what happens when veterans are excluded from leadership positions in the civilian world in the last few years, and wow, we need help.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be some unfucking.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Dude.
it's like bizarre world almost.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
That's...
Whatever it is, make it make sense, for God's sake.
Yeah. We just gone way too far off the left field, and I think America needs to just kind of like rein it all back in, put some smart people in places of leadership, be able to say like, hey, let's get back to normal things. Like mom and dad are back home. Let's straighten things out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, to your point of helping out, like non-soft.
Yeah.
If anybody out there that needs, because right now we're helping like a SWAT team guy. So if there's somebody out there that needs help, I'll do my best to find the funding, whoever it is. And it's really incredible how many nonprofits don't exist for law enforcement, first responders.
Yes. Yep.
Like I've been searching, and because it seems like there's a lot of dudes there that really need some help.
Yeah.
So that's the cool to Silent Woods and Warriors is kind of left it broad,
Yeah.
kind of broad case to athletes, to car crash, to whoever. It's kind of that silent wound. But,
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some programs. There needs to be some nonprofits that, help out these law enforcement first responders because,
Absolutely, dude.
they're
We
doing,
need
they're doing,
more.
they're doing a lot for the community. Lots of head injuries, lots of trauma,
Yep.
and it's all taken for granted. But, if there's somebody like that who needs the help, I'll definitely try to find
Yeah.
some funding somewhere. Because, like you say, I think everybody deserves the chance to be better and give
Absolutely.
back to who they want to be, who they
Yeah.
knew they were. You know what I mean? Because it affects everything.
Yeah.
It's your life, your relationships. So who would you say like they don't deserve that? Everybody deserves that chance.
Absolutely, brother. Ren, I can't thank you enough for being here today with me. Again, if people want to connect with you, where can they go?
Just look on our website, revivalhyperbarics.com, or Instagram. I think it's just Revival Hyperbarics. And then give me a call or shoot a message, and we'll definitely take care of them. And then direct them to the right nonprofit and try to help them out best we can.
Hell yeah, man. And to all you listening at home, go ahead and pause the episode, go to episode description, look at all those links, click them, send Ren a friend request on Instagram, connect with them on website, and last but not least, do me a favor, head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, let us know you enjoyed the episode, and then follow us on Instagram. And if you need resources or just want to hang out, send me an email, secotpodcast@gmail.com. I won't be there to hang out with you in person, but maybe I'll hang out with you in virtual meet, unless you're weird. But yeah, send me a friend request and you'll always get one back. I'm Deny Caballero. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see y'all next time. Till then, take care.